I'm a keeper, baby. Honestly, all my life, all my days.
Welcome back to another episode of the Smith Boys Podcast, brother. Well, brother, we got another full schedule here podcast coming to you.
Yeah, we got
Saturday.
a few episodes, couple episodes at least.
A little late in the day this time. We're doing it in the evenings. It's getting a little bit dark out.
Yeah, so we got the lights on,
and
got the windows kind of dovetailed, just a skosh, brother.
What we got to do, brothers, we got to welcome the new addition to the Smith Boys Podcast.
What's that, brother?
Upon my head here tonight.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Do you hear that, Lord?
Oh my God! Do you hear that, Lord?
Brother, I bought my first Michigan hat today, sir.
Caught my first tube this morning, sir.
I tell you what, brother, it's
Well,
about goddamn time.
Not today. I actually bought this the other day, but
Yeah.
you know, I liked it. I'm kind of becoming a little. I guess you could call them Michigan men.
Why are
I'm
you,
kind
brother?
of. I think I'm kind of becoming a Michigan man.
What has stirred all of this emotion inside of you? You finally have seen the light.
God.
You have understood what the block M really means.
Well,
okay,
it's always gonna-
and the winning that we have done, especially the last 2 years.
Well, I'm always gonna bleed this. First of all, that's numero uno right there.
So what got you on the Michigan bandwagon?
Well, I'm thinking about.
Greg.
Well, with the new job and everything here that I started, it kind of behooves me to continue my education and get, a graduate degree, master's degree.
Okay,
So I'm kind of looking into getting a master's degree from the University of Michigan.
I'm proud of you, brother.
Yeah! 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 Yeah!
You've done good.
So they're close. They have a good program. It's something that I can do while I'm at work, or while I'm.
And this
while I'm-
degree will actually mean something.
hey, this degree got me where I'm at now.
I agree. No, this got you.
So
good.
this one will keep me there and hopefully benefit me a little bit
Sure
more.
will.
So I don't know. I'm kind of becoming a Michigan man.
You're looking at a man that right now is walking the edge of life itself.
I'm becoming a Michigan guy.
Well, I will
bit.
say maybe this turns into a Michigan pod
Stop it. Don't record me, Garrett.
because right now.
Please no. Please
Right
no.
now, the train couldn't be on the tracks any straighter and going down the rails a million miles an hour.
Well, it
If you're
ain't a
Michigan
Michigan
fan.
pod. This ain't a Michigan
Shit.
pod. We can maybe
That's
we can
the
save
first
that
problem with everybody else can turn it off.
one. We
Everybody
can
turn
save
it off
that.
at this
We can
point.
save that for another one. Maybe we'll do a Michigan and an Alabama pods as we get closer because we are 49 days away,
Yeah!
I believe,
I think we do a college football pod.
from Alabama's kickoff.
Maybe
We're
just
49 days away.
a general college football pod with a little spotlight on Michigan and Alabama.
Yeah, we could do that. That sounds like a good idea. But today, brother, the big news of the week.
Yeah. And I couldn't have been more wrong. And I will
Yeah, we're going
admit
to get into that. We're going to get into that because I was a little wrong looking back at our previous podcast too when we discussed this, and I have changed my opinion, mainly because of the money involved for it.
Yes, for
But-
sure. And what they gave up.
Not necessarily the player, because the player I like, but I still think maybe it's a little overhyped. But, brother, last week we came at you with the podcast of the Philip Zadina destruction of his career.
Correct.
And that kind of bled into a kind of impromptu topic where we got into the Alex DeBrincat sweepstakes.
Correct.
For the Detroit Red Wings and how they were looking to acquire him
2
from the
points for
Ottawa
you.
Senators.
Yes.
Okay, which a couple days after that podcast happened, Detroit Red Wings gave up Dominic Kubalik, a conditional first-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and some defenseman I ain't never effing heard of.
Donovan Sabrango.
Donovan
And he's actually
Sabrango.
pretty good. He's for the Grand Rapids Griffins.
Never heard of his ass.
He's actually quite good. I mean, he's one of those guys that would probably be a bottom 6 pairing, but he would be serviceable.
So he sucks.
Bottom 6, maybe on that second pairing, the fourth guy on the second pairing.
Point is, Red Wings got... Now, first I want to talk about what the Red Wings... I guess we'll shift gears here. Talk about what the Red Wings gave up. Sabrango doesn't bother me. Don't give a shit.
Okay.
Fourth round pick, Don't give a shit.
Don't matter.
First round pick. It's kind of.
It could be Boston's next year, or it could be Detroit's.
Whichever one's
whichever one's
probably
worse. I think
is what they give up.
Correct.
That doesn't bother me either because I was looking. I mean, if you could have got first round pick and fourth round pick for DeBrincat straight up, I would have been all for that. And DeBrango or Sabrango.
How does Kubalik sit with you?
Kubalik is where I kind of am starting to think, damn man, I wish we could have held on to him.
Yeah, he was actually pretty good last year.
He was a very productive player last year, and then going into the World Tournaments, I guess, in the offseason here, he scored 8 goals in 8 games or something like that, or 8 goals in 9 games. He was on fire.
Well, when the Red Wings, they switched to Bally's or whatever, and I cannot watch them on YouTube TV, so like I would have to watch the highlights and all this kind of stuff to kind of keep up with the Red Wings. Kubalik scored, or at least early on in that season, it seemed like he scored every game.
Yeah, he was a good player. He was one of the best players on the team.
Yeah.
It was like him and Larkin were
the only two offensive players on the team.
They're the 2 standout guys. So I am disappointed that we lost Kubalik, but when I look at it overall in the grand scheme of things, you got the better player.
But you got to go back
to,
but you would have to go back to the year before when the Red Wings traded Bertuzzi to Boston for that first round pick, right? So this could be actually Bertuzzi, Kubalik, Sabrango, and a 4th rounder. Could it not be for Alex DeBrincat?
Essentially, yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at, I guess.
But
from that certain viewpoint.
And then the other angle is, what does Ottawa do with that first round pick? Do they flip that into a star? Because then they get even more out of it, right?
True.
So,
but the way I look at it, at face value here, you got the better player out of the deal.
No doubt.
You came away out of this deal with the best player.
I don't know if he's better than Bert, though. Is he better than Bertuzzi?
I think so.
Offensively, for sure. But
Bertuzzi's
overall, better player. Bertuzzi's hurt all the time. And we just talked about DeBrincat's durability.
Yeah, Bertuzzi's hurt all the time. DeBrincat, before this podcast when we were reviewing it, he's only missed like 4 games in like the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, he played 80.
He scored 40 goals twice, which Bertuzzi's never done. And effectively, if you take the COVID season was a shortened season with only 53 games, and he scored, I think, 32 goals in 53 games. So
that translates to 40 goals.
Effectively, you're looking at he's going to score 40 goals that year. So, I mean, you could round it up to basically he's a 3-time 40-goal scorer, which is excellent in today's game. Bertuzzi was never going to be that guy. So you got a better player out of the deal. Now, it also helps that he's kind of a hometown guy. He's from Farmington Hills. His wife's from Michigan. His parents met at Michigan State. He's got a lot of local ties. He wants to be here. He wants to win here.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
So I think you're getting you might have that connection because Larkin went to U of M.
Yeah.
They're going to be on a line together. I'm sure Lucas Raymond's going to be on the other side. That's a pretty formidable offensive scoring line if you have those 3 pairs.
But the problem, I agree with you. And I firstly have to say, Yzerman really did way better than I did. So I bashed him pretty hard. I went Jakaris last week a couple times on the Red Wings. Jakaris, yeah. And I would have to say the trade was better than I anticipated it was going to be. And then the deal that he signed to DeBrincat for was way better than I was thinking it was going to be. Because I was thinking he wanted 7-8 years.
That was what it was. That's what he was rumored to want. He wanted 7-8 years, and he wanted
why wouldn't he, right? Because that's kind of the going rate. So then Yzerman signs him to a 4-year, $7 million roughly.
Yeah, I think
$8 million,
it was rumored he was going to get a 7 or 8 year deal for about $8 or $9 million a season. So you were, and that's where it was kind of like when we were looking at it, it's like, man, this is a contract.
Make sense.
This is a contract that's going to handcuff you.
Yes.
And then it turns out, I didn't have a problem with the player, but when we're looking back at last week's podcast talking about him, I kept saying, and I still stand to this. He's a nice player. He's a good player.
Yeah, I think we were wrong on the deal and then the signing.
Yeah,
but we're still right on the player.
Yeah, he's a nice player. He's a good player. Is he a superstar? No. Mm-hmm. I still don't think he's going to come here and score 40 goals.
No.
I think he's going to score maybe 30, 33, 34.
I did hear Valeni and the other idiot, what's his name, Rico's. They were talking about this real briefly, and Valeni put the over-under around 33, 34 goals. And that's where we had it. So I think that's right where he's at. I'm sorry. On this Detroit Red Wings team, that's I think where he's at. But the problem I have though is then you have a second line. So you have a good first line. I think you have a pretty good first line with
a little small.
It is a little small. If you have Raymond and Larkin centering it with DeBrincat on the other side, it's a small line. You're going to have Sider on the back, and who would you have as the other defenseman? I don't know.
Red Wings throw a dart at a board. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So then your second line is who, brother? JT Comfer and
Andrew Kopp.
Yeah, Andrew Kopp.
It's not gonna be
Robbie
Kubelik.
Fabry.
It's not gonna be Kubelik.
Is Fabry finally come back and is he healthy?
Hopefully, it's like Carter Mazer or something, or Marco Casper.
It ain't gonna be.
Hopefully it's one of those guys.
Well, Casper, I think, is a centerman. Is he not?
I don't give a shit. Put him wherever.
I'm just playing. So that's kind of where we wanted to transition into this second part of the Red Wings podcast, I would say, wouldn't you?
Well, I wanted to go over
like
the contract too, because that was, when we went over
DeBrincat.
Yeah, because that was kind of
pull
where last week where they had me, where it was like, this is why I don't think it's a good deal, because I don't want to be handcuffed to some it's a 7 or 8 year deal for $60 million, $70 million. God, I don't want that, because this team is notorious for having bad contracts. But one thing I will give Yzerman credit for is Yzerman has done a great job at signing people to good contracts.
Yeah. So this is the contract.
I think it's 4 years, $28 million.
It's 4 years, $31.5 million. So it's just shy of $8 million a year.
Yeah. Okay. Which just shy of $8 million when it was rumored that he was wanting like 8.7, 8.8, 8.9.
Yeah.
So you're getting him for
you're around seven.
You're getting him for about $1 million less
3/4.
than what he wanted.
Yeah,
and for 3 years shorter than what he wanted.
So
that's how badly he wanted to play here.
And I would say also, if you revert back to last week's podcast, I did say around year 3 or year 4 is about the time you would want to be cutting ties with this guy, because he's at that point going to be approaching 30, and I just don't see him keeping up after the age of 30.
At his size.
Yeah, at his size, and if the Red Wings are good. But so I do think we are right on a lot of it. And Yzerman must have been thinking about it from that angle, clearly.
No,
because
he saw
he
our
watched
podcast.
Smith Boy's podcast,
Yeah.
and he's like, for sure, 4 year deal, 3 or 4 years. That's about the time I want to hit the
And that's
eject button.
and that's the time. That's the window where we should be. We should be on the rise at about year 3 of his deal, because that's when you're looking at guys.
So then we start talking about this part of it.
That's
right?
when you're looking at guys like Edvinsson, Soderblom, Casper, and Mazer all making the team. Maybe Sebastian Cosa's here in year 3 or year 4.
Yes.
That's where you're looking at all these young guys finally making the team.
Raymond
and
is
being
a star.
Yeah.
Larkin's a star. Sider's a star. And all these other guys are on their verge. They're on their transcendence.
They're on the upswing.
They're on the transcendence.
Yeah, they're transcending. They're definitely on the upswing, making huge contributions to this team. Who knows? Maybe at that point, Carter Mazer's coming in and he's on the first line instead of Lucas Raymond.
Yeah.
It's like year 3 of his contract. You're looking at like this team should be making deep runs in the playoffs.
Well, and at that point too, Yzerman will decide, okay, how much do I push this, and sign him again, or do I sell it and try to trade him?
He's going to
depending
earn
on how the team is.
He's going to earn his next deal if it's any good or not. Over the next 4 years, if he scores 40 goals a couple times over the next couple of years, he's going to be getting a bigger payday.
Yeah, because then he to me, he's really truly one of them guys that can just put the puck in the net, right?
And
he's just one of those guys.
And at that point, see, what I'm thinking is, here's the way I'm looking at it is, he wanted like an 8-year deal. To me, it was like, well, he wants to play here. He probably wants to finish his career here. So Yzerman probably said, you know what, I'll sign you to a 4-year deal, and you prove yourself for those 4 years. I'll sign you to another 4-year deal worth even, more money after that.
Yeah.
So there's your 8 years. But the second half of it is going to be better than your first half of it if you show yourself out in the first half here. So this one is 4 years, $31 million. If you play well, your next one's going to be 4 years, $38 million, $37 million, $36, something like that. So he's going to get his 8 years. But Yzerman did it the smart way and was like, well, but you're kind of going to earn it. I ain't going to give it to you. You're going to earn it.
Maybe Yzerman laid out, like, I think you probably hit the nail on the head here, is like Yzerman probably did lay out here, Alex, this is the numbers I want to see you hit over the next 4 years. I want you to be at, between 30 and 37 goals, 40 to 45 assists. I want you to get me 75 to 85 points.
Be a point-a-game guy.
Yeah, be a point-a-game kind of guy. And if you can do that consistently and play 75 games at least every year, I'll reward you on the flip side of that. You show me some durability.
Because him being a point-a-game guy over that time is making Larkin a 100-point guy over that same time.
For sure, because he's got Raymond on the other side.
Yeah, and he's assisting on a lot of his goals. Plus,
you're talking a huge amount of power play goals here with these three.
He's one of the better power play scorers.
That's why I say that. Yeah, he could easily get you 15 power play goals in a season.
So I guess the point of this podcast was just kind of recap what had happened.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe rehash our take on it, which I want to say I did a 180, but I've definitely, once the signing happened and I saw what we gave up and what his contract was, I'm all for it. I'm encouraged by it, and I think his brother was still disappointed, but when we discussed it before the podcast, I think the way I laid it out for him, brother, maybe it kind of changed his tune a little bit. I kind of talked him into being a little encouraged.
Yeah, a little bit more optimistic with it.
Because the contract's great. Great contract.
I do like the contract.
To me, anyone that doesn't like the trade just doesn't know hockey, as far as I'm concerned. Because it's the contract that he was probably going to get, which most people, nobody was expecting this. Nobody was expecting the 4-year, $31 million contract.
No, when I heard the contract and I heard what the trade was, I was like, other than Kubalik, who did play pretty well, but I would say that they're getting a much better player in return than Kubalik, and the first rounder is. It's such a crapshoot. He's probably going to be a goaltender. Eisman likes to take a goaltender in the second, the second first round.
Or a defenseman.
But he would take, in the one draft where he drafted Kosa, he that was his second pick. Now, he didn't do it this year.
He did take a goalie, though. I think the first pick in the second, or no, it was the first pick in the second round.
Yeah, it was that Augustine kid. So he does like to take a goalie like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he would have done with the pick anyway. So goalies are kind of crapshoots, and they don't have bad players in the system.
It takes a long time for them to come
But those are 4-year projects, right?
Best case scenario is Carter Mazur and Marco Kasper make the team, and they shoot out like a bat out of hell this year.
I'm really optimistic, and I'm high on Kasper. I loved what I've seen of him. He was like Player of the Year in, was it Germany or I think it was Germany.
Both these guys I'm high on. Because another thing, brother, last week with the Zadina one, we talked about how great his name was. He has a great name.
Marco Kasper can't get any better.
Marco Kasper and Carter Mazur.
Yeah,
both
for sure.
Great names.
Great names, dude.
Great. You know what they are? They're superstar names.
Yeah.
Those are names that I see on a jersey. Mazur, Kasper. Guys you can market around.
Yeah, dude! You can sell a shit.
They're smooth and they're sleek. Kids look at them and they think that they're racing players. They're superstars.
Oh, God, brother, you kill me. You kill me.
Oh shit! All right, well, brother, I think that's pretty much all we got on this one. I don't know if there's anything else.
Let's not continue it. Let's call it here. There's
Yeah.
plenty of cut-ups and stuff we can put in this one. Hoochie Mama. And let's not kill everybody with 30, 35-minute videos this week.
No, we won't do that. But this was, I think this was a good little recap of the DeBrincat information because it was just interesting because, boom, 2 days after our
I can
pod,
sum it up with saying we were right, we were wrong, but we were more right in the big picture of all of it.
I think so. For sure. All right, well, until the next one, Smith Boys.
People go bye-bye.
People go bye-bye.